and roll there. So 3, 2, and 1. Well, Mayor Bob, welcome back. Mayor's Monday here at WSAU, WSAU.com from the mayor's headquarters today. Is that right?
Right.
The mayor's headquarters down there in Marshfield. And of course, I, as always, just go with my oddball Zoom background. So we're from Target Field today. But give us an idea of, I understand that you've, just like everybody else, your numbers are going up down there in Marshfield. Things have not been looking good on the COVID front. So just give us an idea of what measures you're taking down there in the city at this time.
Well, right now, as you know, if you've seen by the CDC, or the Wisconsin Department of Health, which is a great website, and Wood Marathon County both have great websites to show the numbers. The numbers are definitely on the rise. And recently I spoke with Dr. Turney over there at the Marshfield Clinic Health Systems and Dr. Melms, and they're swamped, and they've got staff working 16-hour days. They have a lot of COVID patients there, and so it is really something. So to help ease that a little bit, we did declare last Tuesday, I met with the Emergency Management Committee, and we went over what we needed to do, and we did authorize I signed a proclamation for a state of emergency just for city-owned buildings. And so what we're trying to do is, we have about 190 Marshfield City employees, and we want to keep them safe. We want to keep citizens that are coming in to pay taxes or get permits or whatnot. We want to keep them safe. So we closed just city buildings to the public. Now, our staff is still working. Many of them have offices that they can be enclosed in. Some are working virtually. And so that's helpful. The public still has access to come in and pay their taxes or to meet with somebody. But they would have to do that by appointment only. And then the public library closed to the public. However, they are still going to have their drive-up service. They're still going to have their virtual learning taking place, as well as their staff is inside. So if people need a book or to return books, they'll still be able to do that. And of course, the police and fire departments are closed, with the exception of the lobby, and our wastewater plant is closed now, but they're still functioning because we still have to run the city, right? People still want, in the event of snow, the streets got to get taken care of, and the city still has to run. So we did this as a precaution, realistically, for safety. We've been doing many meetings virtually, and the Common Council met on the 24th. And we're going to continue, some of the different committees. There are several committees that we have, and we're really requesting that they all do virtual meetings. The Common Council and the Finance, Budget, and Personnel, and a couple of Public Works are primarily aldermen on those committees. So they will have the virtual option, as well as they'll be able to come in by Zoom and do it virtually. They'll be able to do it virtually, or they'll be able to come in into the council chambers, and they'll be secure. We've got plexiglass up between each alderman, and we're going to be as safe as possible. So the city business does still need to go on, but we need to be careful, and we need to work in compliance with that. I was just, when speaking with the Marshfield Clinic Health Systems, since this all started in March, I've done 22 video messages to the citizens, just going over, what the CDC guidelines are. And they're very, very important right now. Right now, wear a mask, socially distance. If you're sick, stay home. If your kids are sick, stay home. Don't get into large gatherings. And it was really something to see. As much as we hear that throughout the country, I was watching the news just this morning, and the travel folks say that travel in the United States, get this, is only down 9% for the Thanksgiving holiday, even though our numbers are going through the roof. So what we know about this is the government cannot solve this problem. The people solve the problem. And so that's why we really encourage everybody to be as safe as they possibly can.
Yeah, and I imagine that's especially important in Marshfield. You mentioned a couple of times in there that you've been meeting with staff and with personnel at Marshfield Clinic. You've got the experts right there in your backyard. I mean, how involved have they been in this process, and how much of a resource have they been to you?
Well, when everything started, it was very surreal because the other evening at the council meeting, I remembered back in March when we had the first COVID in Wood County. I remember when that first case was came out, and it was just it was amazing to see that in just a short period of time where we are now. At that time, myself and a few other city leaders got together. There's about 20 of us, and it includes myself, the city administrator, Steve Barg, police and fire chief, the council president, our communications person. It also includes a representative from Marshfield Clinic Health System. So we're on the phone with them every other week. It includes a representative from the Wood County Health System, Mackey, all of our school districts, our both public and private are on there, as well as business entity like Mackey, and even some religious entities. And we're there, and it's this task force, if you will, that's there to stay ahead of this. And so we've got constant and consistent messaging going all around. We did not wait for this thing to become a monster in our preparation. We prepared a long time ago. This surge that's here, it's got to stop. We're hopeful for the vaccine, but until then, people have to make choices for themselves. Because as I said, government is not going to be able to stop this. It's going to be the choice of the people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And as you mentioned in there, it's had implications on city operations, and you're still, though, providing all of those vital services for residents in the city. And part of that, you mentioned snow removal. No one wants to hear about that in this time of year under normal circumstances,
Right.
especially when things have been as crazy as they have been here. But we are to that time of year. What preparations have you made as far as snow removal goes, and how is that going to run? Is that going to look different here in the era of COVID?
Well, our public works, director is really incredible. And over there at Streets, they do a great job. Chris Holly does a great job of doing that. And Dan Connect is the director of public works. There will be no interruption at all in city services through COVID. They are committed to getting this out. Now, we're taking precautions in the Streets division with keeping everybody as separated as we possibly can. So there will be no interruption of those services at all.
Now, as far as staffing goes, because when you do declare those snow emergencies, it is all hands on deck, things like that. Everybody's going out there working their 12, 14-hour shifts, whatever it is that they're working to get those city streets cleared. Are you prepared then for something like maybe a COVID outbreak among some of your plow drivers? Do you have enough resources there that you feel to make sure everything still gets done, even if there is some kind of an outbreak?
Yeah, well, the person that runs that, Chris Halley, he's got that all in mind. And so they're very careful to keep the employees there socially distant, and to keep them so that doesn't happen. That's the last thing you need. I mean, we've certainly seen that throughout Wisconsin. There are some departments that get it, and then that could take a department down for a short period of time. So at this point right now, we're very, very happy with the fact that we're not having that type of outbreak within the city, within the city services. But it absolutely could happen, but we're prepared.
Yeah.
It's very interesting because a lot of people say, is there more that could be done? And this is a tough one because I know other cities that have said, well, you're going to do a mask mandate. Well, we already have the governor's mask mandate. Mm-hmm. So to go in and just to do another mask mandate when you've already got one in there is really, I don't understand why anybody would do that. Follow the guidelines of the first mask mandate. It really takes the people to want to do this. So I'm hopeful. I am very concerned about the holidays because people getting together in bigger groups with people that they haven't seen in a long time, that's a potential for a spreader. But at the same time, you just have to rely that those people are making good, credible decisions. And hopefully, if they are going to get together, which does go against the advice of the CDC and the healthcare professionals, if they are going to make that decision, I sure hope that when they do get together in those gatherings, they're really socially distancing, wearing masks, and being safe. I know a lot of people here in Marshfield, a lot of people aren't traveling. A lot of people are staying home and having immediate family members. And of course, we encourage that. So it's a very trying time. With the holidays and it being colder, you can imagine that there's probably going to be more infections.
Yeah, and again, we'll just, as you said, hope that everybody heeds to those guidelines and we get out of this sooner rather than later. But I got a feeling it's something that we'll still be talking about as we head into the next year. Well, you mentioned city budgets in there as well. I know last time you and I had talked earlier this fall, we had touched on the budget a little bit. You said you were going to be pushing really hard that there would be no tax increase for residents down there in Marshfield. Now that we are close to finalized on the budget, how have things turned out?
Well, it was really, I've been pushing for, I really, ever since COVID started in March, April, and May, I really have not wanted any tax increase. The problem is, for the prior decade, the way we were doing the finances, it was just wrong. And it was, this is where facts matter, because now we got ourselves into a bit of a financial hole to where there did have to be a tax increase to make us whole. And there's a long explanation for that. But basically, if you look at it like this is what was happening. To make our product, when I'll say that, to run our city cost $10.25. And basically what we were doing is we were selling that for $9.45. Well, when you do that over a decade, it comes to haunt. And it did that because for a while there, they were doing the TID and TIF transfers wrong and improperly. So now we're in such a deficit that if we don't make this increase, then it could affect our credit rating and everything else. So the Common Council did do a substantial tax increase of 7.4%. However, there's 5 different taxing entities within Wood County. So realistically, the overall tax increase that the homeowners will see will be about 3.2%, and that absorbs our one here, and then we can get it in. However, there's going to be a public hearing on Monday, November 30th, and you really see, we had, I believe, 4 different meetings, long 2-3 hour meetings, where we went back and forth with city staff to get to work on the budgets. And what's very interesting is it's costing it because of the cuts that we made. Now, we made cuts, but nothing is going to decrease the amount of service. It's actually, our budget this year is actually less than it was last year, and which I think is incredible. It's actually less. The thing is handling the debt. And so this will be the first time, if this tax increase goes through, that we have had enough money to pay our debt for about the last 12 years. So it will be a good thing. It's tough that it's in COVID. It's a very tough situation because we don't want our credit rating to get affected, because if that happens, where you take a real negative hit on your credit, then when you go to borrow, which cities have to do all the time, 0.5% interest on millions of dollars is a lot of money. Mm-hmm. So we've got to protect the long-term aspect of the city.
Yeah, and you and I we've been having these updates for a couple of years now.
Sure.
And every time we've talked, though, you've praised city staff as to how they've efficient or made things more efficient when it comes to projects. So, when it comes to utility projects and making sure those align with street projects, you've done a great job of that for the last few years. So I've got to say that when you realize something like this and maybe a little bit of an accounting error that maybe made that a little easier to take, knowing that you've increased efficiencies elsewhere that's going to help you for the long term.
Well, we just learned, to your point, our great public works director, Dan Kinect, was able to get about 22% more mill and place street work done this year out of efficiencies. So same cost, but 22% more road work done. That is incredible. And if you start putting in and implementing those systems long term, the outlook is good. Right now, we're just in a storm.
Mm-hmm. And how long do you maybe expect that that storm will last for residents? Is this going to be just a 1 year, or maybe is it a 2-year correction?
If we correct it the way it needs to be corrected, it'll be a 1-year correction, and then we'll be back. But if we don't correct it, if we go and do a lower tax thing, then you're basically starting off next year knowing that you're just always going to be singing the same song,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's time that we do the responsible thing.
And again, no different than any sort of personal finances, right?
That's exactly it.
Absolutely. Oh, Bob, we always appreciate the time here as we check in, on these updates here as we've reached, I guess you could say, the end of the year. It's probably the last time we'll talk to you here in
Sure.
in 2020. Just let's leave on a good note, on a happy note. It's the holidays. Let us know what there's going to be to do in Marshfield as far as holidays go, for people to maybe get some holiday spirit in a safe manner, of course.
Well, we have, we canceled our Christmas parade and things like this, but the Rotary does a great thing, the Winter Wonderland at Wildwood Park, that still goes through, that is absolutely incredible. And it's all drive-through, so you can drive through this park. There's literally hundreds of thousands of lights in there. It's just beautiful to do. And we see people will go in and take them about 15, 20 minutes to get through, and then they'll drive around and go through again. So if you need that little break, we sure would love to see you here in Marshfield, Wisconsin. And look, we're going to get through this time. We've got COVID, we've got all things going on, the budget and everything. But I'm telling you what, the sun is going to come up tomorrow, and we're going to be okay.
Mm-hmm. And we will certainly be here for it. We'll be ready for that first time that we can, get outside and gather together for outdoor music or outdoor food, whatever your fancy is. For
Sure.
me, baseball and soccer, that's going to be my sign. I know other people have their signs that we're through this, but one way or another, we will get through it, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Again, Mayor Bob, we always appreciate the time. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas to you and yours. We will look forward to chatting in early 2021 again as we prepare for a new year.
Thank you very much, and be safe.